Terminator 6. Or as it's called, Terminator Dark Fate. But I'll call it T6, Terminator 6. I saw it last night. The reviews have been mixed, mainly negative, it seems. And I guess it was a flop for the first night. Friday debut had made 10 million. I think they were looking between 50 and 70 million, so it didn't do good the first night. Don't know about the weekend numbers yet. So the reviews, generally speaking, have been mixed, not good. Some liked it, some don't. Some of the negative reviews, one said it's an unoriginal disgrace. I don't think so. Somebody called it a social justice warrior movie. These movies are about two robots whacking each other. There's no social and there's no justice, so it's, metal and metal, Anyway, moving on. So I went there with a friend of mine last night. And the theater was maybe, half full. But there was a local football game, I think. And this is a big high school football town, so maybe that was part of it, why it wasn't sold out. Sat there in the movie. Now, spoiler alert, okay? There's going to be spoilers, so if you don't want to hear this, then mute it or go watch another channel. Spoiler alert. You have been warned. Watching the movie, and by the way, the CGI graphics are insane. The very good CGI graphics. The de-aging in the beginning of Schwarzenegger, Sarah Connor, and the boy, John Connor. Special effects were superb. In fact, the whole movie, special effects, amazing. I could see where they spent almost $200 million with T6, Terminator 6. So, spoiler alert. I'm watching the movie. And in the beginning, it starts with the killing of the son, back in time, John Connor, by the Terminator. And that jolted me. I saw it, I'm like, whoa. Did you really have to do that? I mean, it was a jolt. So I looked at it. I didn't like that. But, okay, maybe there's a reason for this, So I let it go. So I'm watching this as the movie goes on. And it has a female hero, a female cyborg, not quite all human, not quite Terminator. It's human with augmentation, as they call it. I forget the actress's name, Mackenzie something. She was fine. She's the hero. She's the savior or part of the savior of the movie. So I'm watching the movie, and it's the typical Terminator formula movie. Terminator from the future. Bad Terminator comes to the past to kill us. But wait, good Terminator from the future comes now to fight for us. So it's the same type of formula. So I'm watching this movie, and the best movies are what I call didactic. They entertain and they enlighten. This movie is certainly entertaining. It's a good movie. I think it's not a great film. It's not a classic like 1 and 2. And personally, I think Terminator 3 is a classic also. So this movie picks up after Terminator 2, which doesn't make sense. It should have picked up after T3, Rise of the Machines. 4 and 5 to me are just duds, but 1, 2, and 3 are pretty good. So I'm watching this movie. Okay, and I can follow the story. There aren't too many slow scenes in this film. It moves at a pretty quick pace for the most. I think it's 2 hours long. It moves at a pretty quick pace. Special effects are good. Linda Hamilton is back. Sarah Connor. If you saw one of the posters for Terminator 6, it has the 3 women. I'm like, Charlie's Angels, Terminator style. So I'm watching the movie, and I'm asking myself, where's Arnold? Where is Arnold? He's not back yet. So Arnold's back in the second half. Wait for the camera to focus. Come on, focus. Arnold's back in the second half of the movie. But this is where it gets bizarre. You guys remember about 6 months ago, I said that the next sequel will be Terminator is retired, gets married, settles down with the wife and kids. You remember that about 6 months ago? We called it Terminator: The Golden Years. It was a joke, to be sure. Well, guess what Hollywood did? Apparently, they took my advice. And Arnold in this movie is retired, has a wife and a kid. I'm flattered that they took my idea, but it was a joke. How could I keep a straight face? Okay. So the Terminator Arnold he has a cabin in the woods and he's retired. He's got a wife and a kid, but he has a side business. Carl's Draperies. That's right. The Terminator Arnold is called Carl. And he has a side business called Carl's Draperies. Why would a Terminator have a business called Carl's Draperies? Because I guess the Terminator does not want to leave you hanging. So I'm sitting there. Now, obviously, this scene is for laughs, and it does work, but I'm like, I wrote that scene like 6 months ago as a joke. But it's like a scene in the Twilight Zone where it's like, huh? I mean, okay, I am laughing, but I don't know if I'm laughing with the scene or if I'm laughing at the scene. Carl's Draperies. I don't want to spoil it too much. Just go see but the movie is worth the price of admission just for that. No question, it is ridiculous. The Terminator is retired. He's grown a conscience. He has a side business called Carl's Draperies. Terminator, the interior decorator. Okay, so I'm going with this. But remember at the beginning of the movie, they kill the young boy, flashback the son, John Connor. And I'm still waiting for a reason why they did that. They could not come up with a good reason in the movie. That's one of the major flaws. Now, if they whacked John Connor at the end as he saves the planet from the Terminator, that would have been a good cliffhanger for the next movie. But they do it in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, no, he's one of the stars. Don't do that. All right, so Arnold shows up, and it's almost like an afterthought. Now, he is in the second half of the film. The CGI effects are pretty good, some of the best I've seen. But at the end, spoiler alert again, the Arnold doesn't make it. The female hero, Terminator human, doesn't make it. And of course, John Connor gets whacked in the beginning of the movie. The scene at Hoover Dam, inside the power plant, I got to tell you, there's a scene, I won't give it away, I won't spoil that, but I sat there and I cringed like, oh, that looks painful. I won't give it away, you have to see that. But I'm like, okay, so the action's good, everything is good. And by the way, in the future, it's not called Skynet, it's called Legion. I didn't write the story, that's what it's called. So, there's a scene on a military C-130 transport plane, a Humvee, cars. I mean, all the action sequences are superb. It is a visual film. Visually, it's good, but I could see the movie, but I didn't feel the movie. I wasn't emotionally attached to the characters as I were in 1, 2, and really in 3. I got emotionally drawn into the story. But in this one, once they whacked John Connor in the beginning, totally wrong. Once they showed the Terminator retired with a side business called Carl's Draperies, I don't know what to think. Now, I laughed. So what does this all mean? I'll just cut to the chase. Terminator is a good film, much better than 4 and 5, much more entertaining. Of course, when Arnold's back and, Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton is back, from the original, it's great to see those two together. The movie is a definite good time. There's no question. The action scenes are great. I laughed many, many times. Seeing Arnold in the woods, chilling in his lounge chair, having a beer, telling people, yes, I'm married with the kid, and this works for me because I know how to change diapers and I'm extremely funny. It's so ridiculous. You have to laugh. Yeah, so what? Terminator makes rugs now instead of fighting for our humanity. His name is Carl. Carl's Draperies. The scene works, some of it, but all I can say is go see it. It's worth the price of admission just for that, because for the first half you have the serious, somewhat gory, intense, fighting scene with the female hero Terminator, back and forth. Cut to a pleasant scene in the woods. The Terminator's retired with the wife and the kid and the side business. He's chilling with the beer. Hey. So the movie ends, and I'm like, is there room for a sequel? Yes. Should they do it? They got to have better writers. I mean, I think this movie is a step forward, in the franchise. It doesn't deserve the painful reviews from some reviewers. Why do you go to a movie? Why do you go? What are you looking for in a movie? Any movie. Somebody want to answer that? When I go to a movie, I would love to see something original or something I haven't seen before. That's hard nowadays. Tell me a story I don't know. That's difficult. I think the last movie I saw that was an original story was Hacksaw Ridge, 3 years ago. Wonderful movie, based on a true story. But that's rare. That was 3 years ago. But why do you go to a movie? All right, to relax and to be entertained. Bingo, Sky Bear. I go to have a good time. I'm not, in movies like Terminator, I'm not expecting deep Chinese Buddhism thoughts, philosophy coming out of Terminator movies, but I expect a good time. It was 100% good time. In fact, the next movie they should call it Terminator 7, Carl's Draperies. Is it a good time? Was it worth the price of admission? Absolutely. Was I sucked into the characters? Was I involved emotionally? Did I feel that the world, is coming to an end almost? No. There were a lot of mistakes in this film. Killing off John Connor way too soon. That scene in the woods where we finally see Arnold. It's funny, but again, was I laughing with them or at them? I don't know. But I did laugh. So if the purpose of the scene was to make me laugh and my friend laugh, it's hilarious. But that, going back to the beginning when John Connor gets killed, you can't just, obviously it was meant for a jolt, like, whoa. But, in a franchise like this, you can't just do that just for the sake of jolting someone. You can't do that. There has to be a reason. And the reason in the movie just wasn't there, at least not for me, and I guess not for a lot of critics who saw the movie. So in the end, Terminator 6 or Terminator Dark Fate, it has its moments. Special effects are the best I've seen. And that scene at Hoover Dam, if you see it, you will cringe. There's a scene where they're fighting it. Ugh. Yeah. So if you want a good time, go see Terminator 6. If you're expecting it to be a classic like 1, 2, or 3, nope. And that was the second mistake they did. It should have picked up after Terminator 3, not 2. I don't know why people are knocking T3. It's a pretty good movie. It was very entertaining. It made sense after T2. 4 and 5 are duds. That being said, if you want a good time, a good movie needs the unexpected. That retirement scene in the woods, Richard, I was not expecting it. Even though I talked about it 6 months ago as a joke, if I was going to write it, I didn't know they were going to take my advice. So if you want the unexpected, of course now I spoiled it, but if you want the unexpected, it is so ridiculous you have to laugh. Come in, have a beer.